daughter, granddaughter, niece, sister, sassy, fearless, strong. These are words that describe my sister, not someone with disabilities. In 1999, a lot changed for me and my family. My youngest sister, Raiden, was born. I was less than thrilled because I already have one sister, your youngest sister, Riley, and now that means now there's two of them to get me in trouble. A lot changed in a very rapid way. We thought that everything was normal and we all got to hold Raiden and take pictures with her and all the pleasantries. But soon, she was meta-flighted to Oklahoma City to Children's Hospital. Raiden was born with a congenital heart defect and has had 2 heart surgeries, one of them being open heart. She also has cerebral palsy from lack of oxygen during one of her surgeries, and also it's believed that she's had a stroke when she was being born. I'm not saying that my family had the hardest time when we were in the hospital. There were families that were there before we got there. Our longest stay was 72 days, and there were the same families that were still there when we left. My family decided early on that Raiden was going to have the same experiences that we did, and that she was going to do everything that the family did. There's an ongoing joke in my family that we get together over a hangnail. We have family dinners. Very often, birthdays are a big deal, and we go on family vacations together at least twice a year. Raiden is an international traveler. She has been to Hawaii. She is an ATV rider. And recently, she was asked to participate in the Special Olympics in horse riding. She loves to go to the lake and ride the tube with her big sisters. When she's on the boat, she has the biggest smile on her face all the time. People don't always know how to approach Raiden because she communicates using sign language and an iPad. But she understands everything that you say. When people say the word retarded, it gives me pause. I know that there's times I've been around and I've heard it in my classroom, I hear it in the hallways, I hear it at the grocery store, and I know that there's times that Raiden remembers having heard that word and how it affects her. People First language sets out to describe the individual and highlight the individual in a positive way rather than their disability. I was introduced to People First language whenever I was a student in college, and the example that my college professor gave me has stuck with me ever since. She said, when we describe someone with cancer, we always say they have cancer, not they are cancer or they're cancerous. It's a medical term, it's a diagnosis. It's the same thing when we describe someone with disabilities. People First language would say they have a disability rather than they're disabled. Another example would be, she has an intellectual disability, not she's retarded. Disabilities are medical terms and diagnoses. Disabilities don't describe people. Person First language and the R-word movement is so strong that in 2010, President Obama signed into effect Rose's Law. Rose's Law sets to strike out the R-word from all federal legislation. 43 states have followed suit, and it's easy to change the wording in legislation. And a good example is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Changing the words is one thing. Trying to change the vocabulary in your daily life poses a little bit more difficulty. But what really is the challenge is changing people's perceptions of people with disabilities. 19% of the US population is living with disability. This makes people with disabilities the largest minority in the United States. And I wonder if our states, our cities, and our communities, and our schools are tailoring the environment for that 19%. Ever since Raiden was born, I think about things differently. I think about public transportation and accessibility. Does the public bus kneel to the curb? Can I get Raiden's walker into the bus? I think about public access to public buildings. Movie theaters always pose a challenge as well. And I think about the lessening of institutionalization and the increase of group homes for those that wish to live more independently and that also have disabilities. Also, I'm given hope for the progress that we've made in recent decades. Recently in the media, people with disabilities have been highlighted in a more positive way. There's several TV shows now that have characters that are living with disability. And why shouldn't that 19% of the US population be represented in that TV show? And I also think about the actor that is portraying that character. That actor that has a disability and has a career. And would that have been possible in past decades? I tell my students all the time that school is a microcosm of life. You sit by the same people every day. You go to the same classes every day. You sit by the same people at lunch every day. But do you really know everything about them? Chances of them being connected to someone with a disability are really high. I think it's the same for adults. We get stuck in our rotation and in our little group of people, but the things that we say affect people to the core and for the rest of their lives. I think about my dear friend Kristen and about a story that she told me after she received her diagnosis of having MS. Still reeling from the diagnosis, she confided in some of her colleagues at work, one of whom which said, "Oh, so now you're going to be a cripple." Well, I'm not really sure what the future holds, but it's odd how when we find out that someone has a disability, especially one that we can't see, that you don't notice right offhand, we find out someone has a disability and we go, "Oh, I'm sorry." Why wouldn't someone with a disability be able to live a full life just as anyone else? To have children, to go to school, college, a career, to live independently. These are all things that people with disabilities can do because we're more alike than different. We're all connected through disability in some way. And I hope that you remember someone's daughter, someone's granddaughter, niece, or a sister that has a disability because we're more alike than different.